Hello, my name is Romulo Barral. Been training Jiu-Jitsu for almost 20 years. We here like all the way to Korea to to share a little bit about like my knowledge of my guard. So it's very funny how I start to develop my game. I actually on the beginning of my BJJ career, I never had like a strong game as a white belt, as a blue belt. It was kind of like a pretty random, I was kind of like playing everything, playing a little bit, actually half guard. A lot of people wouldn't believe in that, but that's actually what I was playing as a blue belt. As a white belt, I was actually going the float. I was doing everything, I didn't know much about it. Actually, the first technique that I did with all the details that I hit on the training, it was a half guard sweep. That's a very base position. You get under hook, you get the lapel under, and then you throw the guy side to side, you get up and then take down. That's actually what I remember to to be my first position that I did step by step with the details. But in two blue belt, I still didn't have my game set up. It was still up in the air. I said, I was doing everything. And then one time I went to to Rio to watch one of my first instructors, Cristiano Lazzarini Chichi. That's one of Draculino black belt as well. That's actually who I started training. I started training when he was a purple belt. Draculino gym was a little far away from me. And then I started training with Chichi. He gave me a lot of support. I trained with him for free. He used to take me to Draculino to train with better guys. So basically, I went to, he took me, he invited me to go on the World Championship to watch him compete as a brown belt. I think, I don't know why I didn't compete on this time. I think I was hurt, something happened. But actually, when I went to the tournament, Chichi was doing this position from the bottom. He was pulling guard, and then he was doing this position from a spider guard. And then that was a position that I didn't see him doing on the train. And then he was hitting every single one with this position. And then just like a quick review here on the position, he was playing by the time not very a position that I haven't seen. I was the first time that I see the position. He was putting the foot on the biceps, and then he was grabbing the collar, and then he was putting a lot of pressure by pulling the guy down and then extend one leg. That was taking all the power of the guys to pass his guard. And then a lot of times what the person on top was trying to do he was putting a lot of pressure. That's a very uncomfortable position. And then what people was doing, they were trying to grab, kind of grab under the pants, under here, like this, here. And then they were trying to posture up really hard to break the grip. And then that's when he was hitting the movement, his sweep. When people was doing that, to try to posture up, he was catching momentum to get under the guy, pull the guy over, and then use the left leg hook under, and then he was pulling the guy and then getting the momentum to go, and then sweep, kind of like on the Tomo Nage sweep. That's actually pretty much the position that he was doing. But he hit every single one of the position, maybe 5 fights, 5 sweeps from that position. And then people wasn't getting close to break his grip, to pass his guard. And then that got into me. I'm like, man, why he never taught me that? And then, he finished the tournament, he won the World Championship. And then as soon as, he finished, I'm like, man, you gotta show me the move, I asked him, and then he's like, okay, I show you. And then, we went back, and then he showed me, he explained me there was a timing position when the guys was trying to posture up. And then I started to do it, I started to develop this position. And then after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I was hitting everyone on the position. But that's actually the only position that I was doing. I wasn't playing top game anymore. I was just focused on putting my foot on the biceps, grabbing the collar, and then getting the Tomo Nage sweep. So that actually, helped me improve that position. But on the end of everything, what happened is I was just working one move. And then I started to struggle, for example, when I wasn't able to hit the position with somebody that was more experienced than me, the guys actually was able to pass my guard, get a side control, mount, and choke me. And then my defense wasn't getting any better because, wasn't everybody that was able to do that. This is I was already a blue belt. And then after that, I compete as a blue belt, I got third, second, like in a lot of tournaments, first, but I wasn't doing very well. It wasn't like something consistent. And then I figured out that nowadays, when I got more experience, that I didn't have a game. I just have one position, and then that was the shot that was taken. So I got promoted as a purple belt, and then I realized, I'm like, man, I need to improve my guard defense. That's when my guard starts to be like so much difference. Because, I'm like, man, I need to improve my, I need to have more grips. I need to, feel the guy try to pass my guard. That's actually when I start to move to train with Draculino, that I saw Draculino playing spider guard, double sleeve, lasso leg, stuff like that. I was like, man, I can connect this to my game. That's when I start to focus in my guard defense. Then I start to, that's actually, I teach everybody that that is beginning training jiu-jitsu, instead of like only focus here, I start to change grip for the sleeve. I start to play like the normal spider guard here, both foot on the biceps. And then I learn about, like, for example, I always on my guard, I learn, and then I develop always to be scratch the guy. I realize, like, if the guy moves to the side, for example, I start to lose, like, pressure on the biceps here, and then make very easy for him, pop the foot off, like, any way that he wants, and then he start to pass my guard. Then, if I let the guy go into here, then, I figured that I was using too much strength to push the guy and recover my guard. So I realized that, man, I need to anticipate the movement. So then I see the guy movement, as soon as he move, I learn about, I square my body by pop my hips up and then square my body to him. If he move any side, always I was like, always following him, using my hips and then never losing the pressure on the biceps. Even when my leg is bent, I learn about maintain the pressure. Also, I learn about put a pressure one side and then when they pass on top, break one off my legs. I realized that there was another problem that I was having in the beginning. Guys posture up, boom, and then start to pass my guard. And then again, I realized, man, so much energy that I need to lose here to push the guy and then try to recover my guard. And then by going against big guys, it was very hard. Then I start to realize, man, when is the best time to use the lasso leg? So basically, I realized when the guys break my grip here and then just control me, it's very hard to go back. So then I learned about the fight grip from the bottom by break the grip, using the foot on the ground, and then using the lasso leg. And then also I learned about the very important detail on the lasso leg of, drive my elbow always all the way to the ground here, the way that I can hold his arm and then make very hard for him pull and then twist his wrist and then to pass my guard. That I also it was making very hard just by doing, fixing my hips, using my foot on the ground, lasso leg, and then square my body again. So that's actually when my guard start to change, from the beginning. So then, I was able to play the guard, work on my moves, use foot on the hip, recover, I learned about, play double underhook defense, when guys heavy here, I learned about keep my legs heavy, use my leg on the ground, walk in my shoulder, create a space to get my leg over, go back on the biceps. So that helped me, actually learn about the pass on top that I was passing my guard. For example, I was collecting dates. Oh, this guy liked to pass more to the right side, this guy liked to pass more to the left side, this guy tried to back up. That actually when it's connect to my game of the lapella grip. Because I was able to have a good defense by maintaining a good position, by square my body, follow the guy, fight grips, anticipate the movement, and then be able to learn how to play with the double underhook. I learned, and then I start to to people on the top putting a pressure on me was gonna be the best thing for my game, instead of the pass on top just to stop. So after I realized that game of the spider guard, double sleeve, lasso leg, square the hips, defense, that's just fell in my game as perfect, because all after work all this, recover, push the hips, I learn about switch the grips, for example, by using deep lasso leg, pulling him, and then I realized that now I could go back on my game. And then, you know, like the same thing, I was applying the one position by getting under and then doing the tomo inage sweep. Even when I wasn't able to hit the position, and then like maybe the guy is backing up and then I lose my grip, then I was learning about recover my guard. Instead of like, okay, I lose everything, then I learned, no, I need to make another grips, like I climb a mountain. So and then I'm like, oh man, I can't grab here. Okay, but I can grab on the leg. Then I push him back, then I have the guard. Then I learn about the La Riva, push. Then I learn about sitting guard. Then I learn about going back on the lasso leg. Then I learn about go back in here. So that's actually when my game on the guard developed. And then my purple belt, my time on the purple belt, I did so much better than blue belt as a training, as a, you know, like I discovered my game, because, you know, like all of this, they help me learn about myself, learn about the person that I was competing, the person that I was training. So of course, after this, then that's when I start to develop my offense game, you know. So now when I teach people, I really tell them, like, they ask me like, what is your idea about spider guard? You know, I never go, if I teach a seminar, if I teach a class, I never go and then, okay guys, here is my best position from a spider guard, holding the lapella and then holding the foot on the, and then putting the foot on the biceps. No, I break down for them like at the beginning of the technique. Okay, so like how is important to learn how to play with the grips and then how to play with no grips. So I'm gonna show you guys now like a little bit about that more detail. Like it's gonna be like just like a introduction like for the guard defense.